All right, so we're just putting in our last point on this graph, and we now know 3 of the dots exactly, and one of them's at -4, 0. Can you see which of these dots that is? It must be this one. And how about -3, -1? That's like here. And how about -5, -1? That's like here. Do you get we could find even more dots that might be like here and here and here, but we don't have to have a million dots. All right, so there's the big picture process. So here's another one. Y equals negative, but this time it's an x squared. Is that negative on the outside? Yes, so that's a vertical. And then I'm going to put a +3 here. Is that on the outside? Yup, that's a vertical thing too. Would you sketch it quick? You should kind of know where this thing is. It's a parabola that's been moved and flipped, and sketch and go like, I think it's about here. Then find me 3 smart things to put in. My best tip on that is always pick things that make it 0 at the beginning, like makes it 0 out. So in this case, 0. Because when you put it in there, it makes it 0. Squared is 0. Minus 0 is still 0. It's super easy. And then you just have to add the 3 and you get 3. So pick something on each side of that then. Like maybe -1 and then maybe +1. Find me a few more points. And hopefully you were smart enough to know that this thing is flipped and moved up 3. Did you know that the graph is kind of like that-ish? If so, then you'd have known that this point 0, 3 is matching up perfect. See? It's actually right on my graph, right where I thought it was going to be. All right. So I asked you to put in -1 and see what you get, and put in 1 and see what you get. The Schoology quiz that we have is just practicing that skill, which is just stick numbers in and see what you get. So Carl, when you put in -1, talk me through what happens.
You put -1.
When you square it, what happens?
It's 1.
Yep. And then what?
And then it's -1 plus 3.
-1 again. So -1 plus the 3, and what do you get?
2.
Who had 2 for that one? Because you were right. Okay, good. Liv, can you tell me what happens when I put in regular 1? 1 here, 1 squared is 1, and then? We add a negative, makes it -1, and then? It's back to 2 again. And does that make any sense? -1, 2, and over 1 and up 2. And that actually does make sense. It like matches up with my sketch of where I thought it was going to be. Okay? Do you get that this is parent functions that have reflections, that's the negative, and have been moved? That's called a translation. All right, then your job before lunch is open up the little Schoology quiz, which is in Schoology right now waiting for you. And I don't know if it's enabled yet. Is anybody actually? Not yet? Okay, I'm enabling it now. I made it a little easier. I chopped off like 4 questions. And now, there's no time limit. And you can see the answers at the end. There. Should be open. Go ahead and find the Schoology quiz. And that's kind of like a review. And then after lunch, we'll have a worksheet, which we will start together. I'll resume the video for that after lunch part. So, we're back from lunch. And most of the kids are done with the Schoology quiz. Some are still finishing. That's the top priority. Then, the worksheet. It's pretty much the same thing. Would you please open up the worksheet and we'll just start that right now. I am not going to make you do all of those because that's just so much homework in one day. But take it out and I'll tell you which ones you can skip. We are going to do number 1. Hallie, can you read me number 1? Square root of negative x minus 2. Awesome. And then what does it want me to do? Probably graph it?
Name the transformations.
Okay, name the transformations. So the first thing we should do is start with the inside, because that's how you do all math problems, is from the inside out. You have to get like parentheses, which is kind of like the square root. It's like a big parenthesis. Then inside of that is the first thing, and that is well, if I'm like, is that vertical or horizontal? Don't just take a 50-50 guess. Think it through. High, vo. Now that you write that, I hope it's obvious. Is it horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. So number 1 is a horizontal, which I totally would be fine with you abbreviating it with an H. Okay, horizontal, and then I said don't say flip, so what's the official name? Reflect. Very good. Horizontal reflect, and number 2, I don't need you to say vertical down. Down is just down, down 2. Some teachers actually require you to say the vertical translation of 2. But that's so much easier to just say down 2, and it means down 2. So there's your 2 answers. That's how it moves. Avia, look at number 1 and tell me, besides saying what happens, does it want me to graph it? Does it give you like a XY axis or anything, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Move to number 2. Megan Peterson, would you please read me number 2?
F of x equals negative opposite value of x plus 5.
Cool. Well, there's 2 things going on. I always say start on the inside. So Megan, what do you say that plus 5 is doing?
Move
Left 5 is correct. And then on the outside, hint vo. Ian, can you do it? Very good. He's on fire. All right. I know there's one of these where you got to graph it. Is that number 3 yet?
It's number 4.
Then you get to skip number 3. And then we'll go right to number 4. Ian K, could you tell me the problem on number 4?
Absolute value of x equals x squared plus 4.
Oh boy, let me look at that. That's more confusing than I thought. Okay, so that's f of x equals negative x squared plus 4. When you were saying this, I thought you meant absolute value. Negative, did I copy that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so to graph that XY chart, you pick any numbers you want, but I suggest you always make the first part 0. So how do I make that 0? With a 0. So that's everybody put in 0, and then I hope that's going to be pretty quick to get 4. 0, 4 is one of the spots. Now, pro tip, always try to take a look at what it should be. Upside down parabola, that's up 4. Do you get that's an upside down parabola that's up 4? I know already. It should kind of look like that. Now I start getting the exact points, like 0, 4. If I go over 0, up 4, it seems to work. Cool. EJ, what's another number that is close to that first point? 1. And when you put in 1 squared and then you make it negative, notice the negative is not on the inside. Okay, so it's negative 1 plus 4. 3, 1, 3 is the next point. Over 1, up 3. And that actually makes sense from my graph. All right, Avia, another point that is near 0. 2 works. Okay, help me put that 2 in then. So what do I do? And you're right, we can do negative 1 next, but just start with, just put in 2.
Okay, so negative 2 to the power of 2 is negative 4 plus 4.
Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Perfect. So we put in 2, we got 0. Over 2, up 0, and that's that spot right there, which is making sense. All right. And then let's go back to Grace. When I put in negative 1, I'm trusting you to be really careful with that negative 1 because there's like a double negative thing going on. What do you think it comes out to be? It would be 3. Very good. Because at first it comes out positive 1, but then this negative attacks it and goes to negative 1 plus 4, which is 3. Negative 1, 3 is right there. And so all of the points are matching up with where I kind of thought they should be. There you go. All right, and Ian A. in the back, how many problems is there on this worksheet?
6.
All right, and you guys can skip problem 6 also. Okay, so we skipped number 3, and we're going to skip number 6. That doesn't leave you too much left, and that's all I have time for the video for today. Finish up the Schoology quiz and this worksheet, both of which are short and easy, and you got today done.